Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Big players moving. We have A2A, the big Italian energy company. We have some talent garden news. We have new funds coming up. So let's dive in. All right, let's talk about Energy Dome first of all. That's the first news that you, Nico, mentioned. It was quite interesting to me. It was pretty unique, actually. An interesting way to store energy via CO2. So it was incredible to me. Like, actually, the company is using thermodynamic to compress and use the energy created by CO2 compression. So very interesting tech. And they recently raised 11 million from a number of very solid investors. So 360 Capital Partner, Barclays, Novum Capital, and Third Derivative.
Yep. No, well, ciao, Jack. First of all. Well, this comes from a bunch of news all together with A2A as a trade union among these news, because A2A announced the investment in 3 startups. Energy Dome is one of the 3. It's the only Italian one, and it's also probably the biggest round from the 3 among the 3. That's of course out of my area of expertise, but as you said, it is quite interesting. So the startup is developing this energy storage technology.
Yeah.
Long-term energy storage, which is an interesting take.
So my understanding is that it's more than a battery. It's kind of a system where basically there is some dome, like kind of in getting CO2 from the atmosphere, compressing it, and via the process of compression and sort of expansion, then they can generate actually thermal energy that moves a motor and therefore electricity. It's a novel concept, definitely super innovative. I've never heard of anything like that. So that's cool, and they sort of pack it up as it's packaged like battery bricks, so it's modular and it's an available technology. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's it. In a sense, it's basic thermodynamics.
Yeah.
But it looks well. I have no idea whether it works and how efficient it is, but still, it is an interesting idea. And indirectly, is a way to capture carbon. Is that?
Yeah.
I don't know how effective that is, but still.
That's exactly their selling point, I believe, which is exactly leveraging carbon emission, CO2 emission, to actually helping out generating energy. So it's a very interesting way of using some major problematic elements that are populating our atmosphere. And so it's good, very creative, very interesting.
It sounds like it's an easy sell in today's times.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah. And good job A2A to actually be in the back, sitting back and entering different good position through 360. So this is one of their play. Let's also mention the other 2 that were interesting. So the other one is Inspired Trading, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trading platform, yes.
Mostly a trading platform. I think they have a very sort of big data / artificial intelligence angle in here. So they're really trying to do spot market quotes through different way of different technologies. So yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yep. And the other one is a French company, Beem.
Yes.
With kits that you can purchase to mount and install photovoltaic panels.
Yes. And honestly, I love this because it is extremely easy. So apparently these guys, what is interesting is that they're selling a number of panels. You can calculate the voltage you need, and you can do the installation without any other equipment. So they give you the full modular package. And guess how much it is to actually have solar panel to build your fridge, and Wi-Fi 780 euros, and you get everything. Can you imagine that?
My French is very bad, but from the website I can read that with a kit you can power 300 watts.
Something like that, yes.
Which I don't know with respect to a standard house, but you can probably power quite a few appliances.
Yeah. I mean, their claim is that I was reading through the website. In one part, they were saying like you can power up your fridge, your Wi-Fi network, and a few like of 3 or 4 bulbs, and there you go. And to me, it's cool because everybody talks about panels. Everybody needs someone to do the installation and give you quote and all this complicated stuff. These guys come in and be like, no, you just need to buy the unit. You put it wherever we tell you to put it. And then the good thing is you plug those guys into your existing electric network. So in some ways, the electricity will flow back and they can power your entire network. Don't ask me how exactly, but seems cool.
Yep. The only consideration that I would add here is the consumerization of everything. I mean, this is same as any complex technology where you need an expert to come to your house or your office to have this consulting by analyzing the exposure to the sun, the orientation, the hours, the power, the blah blah blah, yada yada yada.
Totally.
And then a startup comes to you and says, whatever, just purchase my kit and put the solar panels on the side of your house that's most exposed to the sun.
There you go.
There you go.
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, no, I love this kind of disruption. It's really simplifying life. Awesome. And again, A2A, being an investor in that, definitely helps out like getting in touch with the consumer product. So that's also something that it's not typical from A2A probably.
So I got additional considerations here. So A2A is an energy company, it's an energy provider. So it's a utility company. So they are providing energy. Solar panels such as these ones, in a sense, act against A2A, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're lowering the power that you extract from the grid, and you consume your own at your own place. But this is probably a limited view because the grid is a complex thing, and maybe this type of having of course a participation in a startup distributing this type of technology means benefiting from a technology that in a way will become part of the grid in the future, and you want to be in as many parts as possible of the grid as a utility. So you
That's
don't
a great
think
point.
anymore just about the hydroelectric central that you own, but you think, well, I have to go everything, so I have to invest in everything that's everywhere in the grid. That might be an interesting also way to look forward from A2A.
Yeah, and actually with the level of disruption happening in utilities, that's a great way to kind of like spray and pray in a way, even if it's not as popular, but at least having a foot in the door in a bunch of different solutions. Maybe
literally.
Yeah, like this is literally like a panel on the door more than a foot in the door. So it's really a matter of like seeing what sticks, because maybe this thing is gonna blow up or maybe it's gonna disappear. Nobody really knows.
Don't know.
But very, very good strategy for sure.
Well, if I may take the lead once in a while, related to this news, that's the ENI one, the ENI. The further investment in Commonwealth Fusion Systems. That's the opposite take in terms of the energy.
Good point. Awesome.
Because CFS is developing a fusion reactor technology. So clean electricity, but with fusion technology, and that's something that's very futuristic. From the article, it says something like they expect to be able to connect a reactor to the grid in 10 years, something like that.
Wow.
That's impressive. That's impressive. That's
I mean, fusion has been this year like sort of revamped also with the guys at Lyft trying to, like kind of rethink nuclear energy with the Lift Accelerator, sort of like building up on some new way to take nuclear technology. So that might be something, a new vertical, sort of, the nuclear tech or something like that.
Yeah, that's not my area of investments, but I believe that in the last couple of years, a lot of private companies have raised funding focusing on nuclear energy. And Nucleus, what was
Nucleus.
the Italian one, for example?
Exactly.
And here we have an Italian utility investing in a Canadian, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Not sure. Yep. Company doing the same. So we'll see. I mean, I'm curious about.
We'll keep an eye on what's everything nuclear. Very interesting. All right, moving on. One keyword that I was not aware, and it's the one of synthetic data for data analysis. That was extremely cool and interesting because I was not aware of this kind of possibility. And if you want to elaborate on that, so like how exactly these guys are working in terms of how exactly to analyze big data in a very private way so that the sensitive information is cancelled out, but preserving the data structure. That's the
exactly that's the play. You said it. Basically, as AI is becoming present everywhere, one of the main issues is about how do I train, how do I test my AI systems? If I collected and I have data that was not collected with that purpose. I mean, in Europe in particular, GDPR is particularly strict. So you can't just take a bunch of your customers and say, hey, you know what? Now I'm going to train an AI on your data because that's fair. Because of GDPR.
Got it.
Well, I'm simplifying, but basically
no, makes sense. Perfect sense.
And in general, if you want to do something with a bunch of data, you need to find a way to anonymize it. But if you just remove information from a data set, you are removing data from the data set, so it's becoming less interesting. Think about a bunch of customers. If you remove the addresses because they're sensitive information, you're removing geolocalization data. If you're just saying, instead of my place, a guy living in Lombardy, that's a bit generic and not useful. So the basic idea behind synthetic data is to take an existing data set and to create synthetic versions of it, preserving the statistic properties. And this is valuable because today on the market, having data sets that are statistically equal or very similar to real data can boost and empower companies that want to unlock the power of artificial intelligence on in their models, in their businesses.
Very cool. So does it work by substituting like private data with some dummy form of data, or it's more of a way to sort of re-elaborate the data set so you can actually preserve the pattern and train ML through that pattern? It's the second, right?
The second one.
Okay,
This is a generator. So you are not removing information from a data set. You're generating new data sets from some kind of AI system that learned about the properties of the original data set.
Interesting. So a lot of matrix, multi-matrix operation. That's
cool. Yeah, sure.
For sure, exactly.
Mathematics.
Pure linear algebra to the best. All right, so big investment here, by the way, is like 2.8 million from Vertis SGR. Yeah, I mean, super interesting. Probably they see the application of these, as you were saying, in insurance sector and healthcare, as they were mentioning, like some of the biggest, the two biggest vertical. And it's been done through the Vertis Venture 3 tech transfer fund. So one of these kind of funds that Italy is kind of famous for. So helping out the transfer of technology from, the books, so to speak, to the actual business modeling and the real application in the real life.
Exactly.
Very interesting. All right. Let's move on to like Scuter. All right, so we're talking about last mile transportation. This is a play where these guys are building essentially a three-wheeled machine, which is very easy and simple, and apparently it is extremely optimized for sharing and for cloud applications. So that's really what they're trying to do.
Yep. This is a 3 million round with a mixture of equity, grant, debt. Of course, building a hardware startup with this type of hardware is expensive and more difficult to finance in a way, starting from scratch in particular. I believe Scuter has been around for quite a few years, probably 2015, 2016. So it is taking time to put the vehicle on the market.
Totally.
But these 3 millions, I believe they're going to put some fuel in the startup and see whether they'll be able to deliver on the new vehicle.
Yeah, as you were mentioning, so we have incentive from Smart and Start from Invitalia, Intesa San Paolo, and then Fondo di Rilancio Startup, which is by CDP. So yeah, as you say, a lot of like incentives from the institutional, one of the biggest institutional in Italy right now to sort of rethink the way of transportation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said before, hardware is difficult.
Hardware is long time.
And expensive, in particular when you need to start from scratch. So,
and also because you need to change basically habits of people. Basically, like leave your bicycle at home and use this thing, and let's show if they're very effective in going around Rome or Milan. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, interesting. Right, now let's touch these guys, the Twinone, which I know you guys have been participating to the latest round as Primo Ventures. Yeah, I met the team through you guys, and they're like super exciting people developing digital twins for products. So being it like basically they're trying to replicate with as many details as possible physical products for purposes like videos, pictures, websites, 3D shooting, etc. And they've been doing a great job, honestly. I'm very impressed.
Well, they've got a very powerful technology platform. So basically here the idea is to being able to speed things up a lot when you want to, as you said, create a 3D environment, even either static or a video or a movie of consumer products in particular, but whatever is good. And their engine is extremely powerful in displaying complex textiles, complex surfaces, and very photorealistic. But the basic play is about speed. So if you are a marketing department and you want to have very fast to market material for your merchandise, your communication, or marketing, well, 2-in-1 can offer an interesting platform to speed things up and save in the process. That's
and this is what you tell investors, but in your heart, I know you're thinking metaverse right here.
Yeah, of course. This was metaverse before Meta became a reality.
Not for sure.
But of course, that's true. Metaverse and everything included, but one step at a time.
Sure. That's awesome. And as co-investor, you have Gellify also been active in the past year, so 2021, like extremely active in a lot of deals with Azimut as well. And Ratti, surprisingly, they've been like a sort of corporate partners in this deal. Very, very interesting. So can you tell us more maybe about these guys, just to see what's their angle right here?
Well, I don't follow the deal firsthand, but Ratti is operating in the industry of textiles and office textiles. So one of the powerful angles of the technology by Twinone is exactly the ability to display the details of the complex textile in an extremely advanced way. The CEO of Ratti got in touch with the team, fell in love with the technology, and decided that he wanted to be part of it. So there it is. So.
Makes sense. It makes sense also for them. I mean, showcasing like product that's in a photographic detail fashion. That's definitely something interesting for them. Sure. All right, moving on. Talent Garden, big name in the Italian ecosystem, been active for years, sort of a little bit like copycatting what is happening with WeWork and General Assembly in the US. They've been launching co-working space for years now, and they kind of are pivoting their business to a more education-driven company. So offering like master classes about digital, about like digital marketing, branding, anything digital essentially. And they recently, basically thinking in those kind of terms, they acquired Hyper Island, which is an online platform for courses relating exactly to these kind of the new digital challenges. So marketing, new kind of leadership, design thinking, and kind of the future skills, if you will.
Yeah, I didn't know Hyper Island, I have to tell you.
No, me either.
But I think they're quite a very strong player in the online education vertical. They from the website they churned out a lot of alumni from the courses. And on the other end, Talent Garden has been pivoting to online education for a while now. So to education in a sense, and online more recently, for a while before COVID.
I agree.
To tell the truth, even though Talent Garden was originally born as a co-working network of co-working spaces for the digital savvy population, let's say so. As you said, copycatting WeWork in a sense, in a way. But then the company grew quite a bit out of just the co-working type of service. And this acquisition, which is not a 100% acquisition, I believe I read somewhere else it was a 54%.
Yes.
Yeah, there it is. This is, let's say, a signal that this people is pushing forward quite heavily. And it is probably a big chunk of the future of Talent Garden.
I agree, 100%. So
and they nominated, there's a new CEO.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
The lady in the middle, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
The lady in the middle of the picture. Yes, she's the new CEO of Talent Garden.
Interesting. Awesome. But I agree. It's the new way of thinking about educational spaces. So it's a cross between co-working, college, digital classes. It's a whole new way of thinking about education, for sure.
Yeah, another type of metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. It's another metaverse. Let's talk about Kairos. Very interesting play over here. They raised actually the first venture fund working on ESG. It's called Karos Ventures ESG1, and they're aiming at Italian companies in 4 specific verticals. And I thought it was very interesting because they're touching a lot of what is going on in Italy in general. So B2B digital transformation, big data, blockchain, IoT, and AI, of course, life science with medtech, space economy as well. Imagine like a very wide spectrum of sort of investment verticals, and then of course green energy. You have to now. It's ESG. You need to put your money on something like that. And I thought it was very interesting. It's basically like 2 managers, right? Yeah, 2 managers.
Yep. And the 2 managers are the former partners of Red Seed Capital. This was a small investment vehicle.
Interesting.
I believe both of them. I'm pretty sure Elisa for sure. And probably also Roberto.
Interesting.
I found interesting having this a wide deep tech targets You need a lot of understanding of so different verticals. But I'm curious. I'm looking forward to see more about to know more about the investment team and who the advisors will be. To help them find interesting investments in all these areas.
No, exactly, because it's 4 different verticals. They would require each their own 100 million venture fund on its own with their own team of digital experts and executives. So just being a small team like that, it would be cool to see like how exactly they organize it. Yeah.
But on the other hand, is I read early and late stage funds. So funds.
Exactly.
So this is something that Italy needs. We need a bit more later stage funds. So 100 million is not a huge number, but still more capital available in the market.
Cool.
I believe it was just announced, not raised.
Yeah.
We are fundraising right now.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah. And it's cool because Kairos, I believe, is traditionally is a wealth manager, asset manager, like more traditional, if you will. So having something, actually having something on the side of venture capital, that can be something which is really a good signal for family businesses, family offices to actually look into the alternative space. All right, and then let's go to the end, to the last two news that I wanted to cover. One is the Berkeley Accelerator, Skydeck, is landing in Milan. And I think they just closed also a partnership with the Karos factory, and they will be essentially being active probably since next year, I believe.
Yeah, so it says the news. So the news says, well, it's good news. I mean, the interesting part is that Milan is the first European city to host Skydeck. So it's interesting that they're choosing, let's say, an ecosystem at the periphery. So skipping France or Germany. It's a bold move, and I mean, I'm really happy they made it because this opens a new light on Italy. So if they start and the first batch is the initial steps of the program turn out to be successful, I expect it to be a very good catalyst for international investment, international talent. Also, that's something we need. Looking forward to it.
No, awesome. And Berkeley is a great ecosystem right across San Francisco. A lot of companies went through Berkeley in some way or another. Alumni network are huge and very powerful. So we'll see something very cool for sure. Interesting. Okay, last news, Nico. This is one of the best news of the year, probably, I would say. So the total investments in venture capital, in the venture capital ecosystem, I would say. So actually investment in startups, more than doubled since last year. And we have a kind of a fair split between international, informal, and formal investors. Very impressive. It's probably the most impressive jump since I would say 2017 and 18, where a big jump happened. But now it's nothing compared to what has been happening in 2021. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I was long this year in terms of investments raised by Italian startups. I was not that long. The consensus was that this year we would get to $1 billion, more or less, of capital raised by Italian startups, and getting in sight of 1.4 billion is something quite unexpected. Actually, we'll see the actual data because there's some forecasting here. I believe the data is related to sometime around early November, end of October. So the last 2 months are just the forecast. We'll see in January and February the other researches that usually are published with the actual data for the year, what they say.
Yeah.
But still, this is a great way to end the year.
Oh no, for sure. So let me actually push a dark note here, because that's not to be too positive. How this is dragged by the major injection from the government, because the government has been pushing a ton of money through indirectly into the funds of funds, into a bunch of different structure. Our friends CDP has like more than nine different funds, etc., etc., etc. So awesome news. But my question would be, I don't know if it's sort of a biased result, just because the government is getting so much money, helping to actually jumpstart the ecosystem in a way that never happened. So my question is like, how would it have been like moving if there was not such a big incentive from the government? But yeah, I know.
Oh well, of course, but your comment is spot on. You are extremely spectacularly right. Over there are a lot of capital investments completed by in rounds that involve funds managed by CDP, and even if some of those funds are fully fledged VC investors aimed at investing in the best startups and raising and returning money to CDP and blah blah blah, some have different missions. Fondo Rilancio is a fund to sustain startups that have difficulties. Fondo Acceleratori had an allocation for accelerator startups with difficulties, or the possibility to access to funding where there was none. So probably there is a part of those numbers would not be there without this allocation. I don't know the impact of that type of allocation.
Yeah.
And one of the rules of investment for those funds was also to co-invest. So there is a CDP as a direct effect, and then there's the co-investors who were involved to invest with CDP in those type of supporting to helping rounds in a sense for these startups. But if you ask me how much of it is in those numbers, I have no idea. So
tough to say. I know.
Hard to say.
But still, great, because Italy is in the path to really create like a very sophisticated sort of I don't know how to call it, like sovereign fund. Like maybe it's not the right word, but the aspiration looks like that. And like other funds, like sovereign funds, like Singapore investing in tech for being doing that forever. So that's one way sort of to replicate that, and it's a successful strategy. It's been a proven successful strategy. So beside all my negativity, awesome.
But that's not negativity. It's about analysis. In a sense, I expect a lot of people to start thinking or considering the effect of the state decision, the government decisions in these numbers. But on the other hand, that was exactly what everybody was asking. Please, Italian government, allocate more resources to venture capital and Italian startups in order to, expand the ecosystem. That's that is what they're doing, and you can see here that probably they're doing it well.
Very well, no, for sure.
At least resources are being deployed.
Yeah, and if this is what it takes to jumpstart, awesome. And a significant one is definitely having the international investor sort of working, because people are getting into deals. That's very awesome too. So good strategy for sure. All right, Nico, thank you so much for this session. It was super interesting, and I'll catch up with you next week with another episode of the Week in Italian Startup.
Yep, my pleasure. Thank you, Jack. Let's talk soon and have a great week.
Awesome. Thank you, Nico. Bye-bye.